So, how to increase your profits by 61% and build a business that isn't reliant on you. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Very.
So, I've got stuff to get through, so I'm going to go for it because you don't want to sit there listening to me blub on. But just very quickly, what gives me the right to be here and to share this knowledge with you? 20 years in hospitality businesses. The one thing I learned from hospitality was that the most important thing, the thing that moved the needle most in every one of those businesses, and there were 7 in total, was investing in people. If you invested in the team, everything else came. Loyal customers, higher profits, everything. Excuse me a minute. So for the past 17 years, I've been working with business owners, helping them to do what I did in my hospitality businesses. And I've also had the pleasure of working with some new coaches and helping them as they start to help business owners, because there's only so many people I can help. Okay, so let's get going, unless anybody's got any questions before we start. No questions. Okay, we're a small group, so if you've got any questions, feel free to just shout. Okay, but we will use a chat box. Right, so the reason most people come to a workshop like this is because their business isn't where they want it to be. They're either struggling or they're not seeing the growth they want for the effort that they're putting in, or sometimes it's just because they want a sounding board. They want confirmation that they're doing the right things, because being a business owner can actually be quite lonely sometimes. And the reality is, people aren't wrong to have the vision that they had when they started their business. Most people want to go into business for themselves because they're fed up of working for an idiot, and they want to build a business and a life that they love. And with that comes the profit that they need to fund the lifestyle that it is that they want, that they went into business for. So today we're going to be covering the 5 levels of business ownership and identifying where you are on that ladder. We're going to be looking at the 9-step roadmap, including the 3 pillars, and we're going to do a little exercise there just to sort of establish where you are with that. And then we're going to look at 5 key areas that are the same in every single business on the planet that you can tweak. I'm not talking about massive changes, I'm talking about tweaks to up those profits. And we'll go into that in a bit more detail as well. So before we dive into those, why is this important? Why do people need to come along and listen to things like the stuff I'm going to share with you this morning? The thing is that most people are distracted in business. Does that sound familiar? There's always something, there's always another ping, another notification, somebody else that wants something. And the truth is, customers have more choice than ever because of all the assets that we have to us now. Everybody is virtually competing on a global scale. We can do business with anyone in the world. So this workshop is for you if you're feeling a little overwhelmed and want a simple plan. This workshop's for you if you're spending your nights and weekends working in the business and you want to see some fruits of your labour. And it's for you if you want to increase the profits in your business. So one thing to realise is, just like a doctor would prescribe a healthy diet or medication, I could give you all the best strategies in the world, but if you don't implement the strategies, they're not going to make any difference whatsoever. Because most owners will fail in business, not because they don't know the things I'm going to share with you, but because they don't implement them and they don't stay consistent. So, which is why when we're done, I will invite you to book yourself a complimentary Next Steps score to make sure you start to put some of the things in place in your business that we're going to go through today. Whether you do that by yourself or whether you would like me to support you in that, that's absolutely fine. But you've got to focus on results and push through your comfort zone and not just rely on learning. Okay, so I'm going to start us off with a couple of questions. So, pens at the ready. How profitable is your business? Think back over the last 3 months or even the last year and think, how profitable is your business? And if you can just assess it on that scale, is it 100% really good? Okay, needs work, or should I not even be asking that question? Okay, so if you could just pop that in the chat, that would be great. Oh, thank you for your honesty. Yeah, okay, fantastic. Right, another question, which might seem a little strange. How much fun is your business? You spend more of your waking hours working than you do with your family. So how much fun is your business? Do you work the hours you want to? Is the work you're doing using your best strengths? Are you able to focus on the highest value activities without distractions? Do you like your team if you have one? Okay, fun, but too many hours. That sounds, well, at least you're halfway there. We've just got to work on sorting those hours out then, Stephen. So you've already asked the next, sorry?
I blame you for it, Sue. You're my coach. You haven't sorted it yet.
Well, the thing is, I only suggest you have to implement, as you know.
True. That's true.
Okay, so most people don't need to be instructed. They simply need to be reminded. So I would ask you, instead of thinking, yeah, I know that, think about, am I applying that? Am I doing it in my business? And who's holding you accountable to do the things that need to be done so that you can live your best life? I recently had a meeting with somebody who said it was himself holding himself accountable and he only scored himself a 4. Wasn't really a surprise then that he was talking to me because he wasn't getting what he wanted from his business. So, onto the frameworks. So, I'm going to share with you some symptoms and some tips for overcoming those symptoms as we go through. So, you might want to take notes, or feel free to just take a screenshot if you want to as we're going through the presentation. So, level 1 is overwhelm. So owners who experience this level don't really know what to do next. They're fighting fires and they're running around a bit like a headless chicken because they just don't know what to do. They're great at doing whatever it is they did, whether it was a hairdresser, a builder, whatever it was, but they're not sure on how to run a business because no one's ever taught them that. I think people should be taught so much more at school, but that's for another day. So that's overwhelmed, and you can see there's some symptoms and some tips there. And then we move up to overworked. And it's exhausting because you're micromanaging everything because the team that you've now got aren't trained properly, basically. They just don't know what they should be doing. And the thing is, I find with most people, they recruit a team and then complain that they're not doing what they wanted to do. And it's because they've not been trained. They've not been shown that this is the way we do it here. And most people never start a job wanting to mess up. They start a job with every good intention, but if they haven't got clear guidance, then they make it up as they're going along, which may not be what works for you. Then we become organised, which is where the owner has started to focus on 2 things that you really need in order to create a profitable and sustainable business. And that's processes and people. We create the processes. This is how we do it. And the people run the processes. However, if we don't keep on top of it, people tend to start off following the process and then they get a bit confident and then they start to not follow the process. It's a bit like when you're first cooking something from a recipe book. You start off following the recipes step by step, weighing all the ingredients, etc. And then second, third, fourth time that you're making it, you've given up and you just chuck it in as you're going along. And that's what tends to happen. The biggest person I find who fails to follow the process is actually the business owner themselves. Then we move up to the overseer level. This is where you're really starting to make a shift from being an operator to an owner, and you get to spend more time working on the business, improving processes and people rather than working in the business. For some people, they love what they do and they want to work in the business, and that's absolutely fine. However, you've got to have everything else in place if you're going to be doing that, because if you're not growing the business, who will? Then we get to the ownership level. Excuse me. And this is where you've created people and processes that run the business. Then you've hired and trained somebody who can run the business for you with minimal impact and effort from you. So that's where true freedom actually lies. It doesn't mean to say that you have to step away from the business. You don't have to sell it. But in order to get a return on your investment, your business needs to be able to run without you. And that is what will increase its value should you decide to sell it at any point. It's all about having freedom and choices, because at the end of the day, for most of us, that's why we went into business, so that we would have freedom and choices and we wouldn't be working to somebody else's time scale. So 5 levels. It's all about going from chaos and trap to controlled and freedom. So where are you on the 5 levels? Do feel free to pop it in the chat. Okay, let's keep going. We've still got lots to go through. So we've covered the 5 levels to get clarity, and now we're going to be going through the 9. Thank you for your honesty, guys. Okay, let's go through the roadmap. This is a 9-step roadmap that takes you through where you are in your business, right the way through up those 5 levels, and action each of the 3 pillars of business, which you'll see down the side: the value, velocity, and vision, which are the 3 core pillars. So the first pillar is vision. And this is where we need to know where the business is going, how we're going to drive it there, and that will lead us into dynamic planning. Because if you don't know where the business is going, how's anybody else supposed to know? And we're going to dig into all of these steps a little bit more in a few minutes. Velocity pillar. This is all about controlling how you grow, so that you're not actually building a cash-eating monster. You're growing in a sustainable way, that you're making sure you're doing everything right. Profit and cash sits very highly in this, because most people are not taking good enough care of their cash or their profit, which is what we're going to really focus in on a little bit later. And then we have the value side, the value pillar. And this is when we're looking at making sure the business really does work without us, so that we can have that freedom. It's now a choice for what we do with our time. You know, at the end of the day, you can always earn more money, but once time's gone, it's gone. So that's what we're going to be looking at doing. So let's look at this going in a little bit deeper. Have you all got paper and pen?
Yep.
Yep. Can you just draw yourself 9 boxes? And as I go through each of these boxes, I'm going to ask you some questions. And then I'd like you to score yourself in each of those 9 boxes. as perfect, give yourself a nice big tick. Question mark if it needs some work. An exclamation mark if it is not good and it really needs to be dealt with. So, are we ready? Okay, questions for step number 1. How clear are you on the business you need to build to satisfy your ideal lifestyle? Have you worked out exactly how much profit your business needs to generate for you to enjoy your ideal lifestyle? What does that mean in terms of revenue and expenses and the growth plan to achieve that over the next 1, 3, or maybe 5 years? Quite often this is incredibly powerful because business owners who are just blindly growing and before they realise they're actually they don't actually realise that their goals are so much more achievable because they've never really thought about it, because they're just going blindly at it. So where would you score yourself in step 1? Step 2, driving growth. Do you have a clear marketing plan? Is your sales funnel and offer completely optimized with testing and measuring in place? Do you have the quality of services and offering in your business so that people feel stupid to actually say no, or they feel compelled to say yes? Are all of your customers A-grade customers? I'm not sure we're going to have time to look at that today, but that's something we can talk about. So where would you score yourself in step 2? On to step 3, dynamic planning. Do you have a clear strategic plan with 3 to 5 goals for the year that translates into next 90 days? Not just one for you, but one for each member of your team so that you know exactly what they are doing and you know what you should be doing. Everybody is accountable, and that's what makes things happen. The people that write a plan that ends up propping up the wobbly leg on a desk, it just doesn't work. So do you have a dynamic plan in your business? Step 4, profit and cash. Do you have a 13-week rolling cash flow forecast? Do you have monthly profit improvement and containment strategies? Do you know what the profit margins are for all of your services and products? Do you know what the profit margins are for all of your departments? This is a really key one. This is where a lot of people fall over. At the end of the day, numbers are the language of business and we have to be able to understand them. On to revenue and marketing. Do you have a written marketing plan with testing and measuring in place? If you don't have testing and measuring in place, how do you know what's working well and what could be working even better? Do you know where all your clients come from? Do you know the acquisition cost of a client? Do you know the lifetime value of a client? And are you actually maximising cross-selling opportunities? Okay, score for step 5, and then we're on to step 6. Are all your most common business processes documented? Everything from marketing, business development, client onboarding, financing, team onboarding, the list goes on. Do your team follow the process? And do you? Have you mapped out all the processes so that need documenting in your business? Do you review the effectiveness and suitability of that process? Things change. We live in a fast-moving world, and sometimes we have to change things around a bit. So that's the vision and velocity pillars. Now we're going to step up to the value pillar. Step 7, financials and KPIs. Do you have a business dashboard with information for each department covering marketing, business development, finance, etc.? Do you use this information to track your progress and make good business decisions and adjust as necessary? Do you regularly monitor cash flow forecasts, profit and loss, balance sheet, and use this information to make business decisions? Step 8, innovation and leadership. Are you proactively improving the leadership skills in your senior team? And are you regularly looking at how you can achieve more with less? Are you consistently considering different ways of doing business or emerging markets? On to the last step, step 9, team and culture. Can all of your team clearly and accurately articulate your company vision, mission, values, purpose, and culture? Do you have a recruiting process in place that has A-type players wanting to come work at your business before you even have a role? Do you regularly assess employment engagement? And do you take action to improve that? Are your team totally aligned to your company vision and actively looking for areas to make improvements in the business? A lot of people seem to forget that when they hire a body, that body comes with a brain, and they forget to make the most use of that. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is to have a look through the 9 steps and then identify the top 3 that you think, if you focused on those, they would have the biggest improvement on your business. Okay? And then I want you to look at those 3 and decide, prioritize them. Decide what order you're going to do them in. Which will be the first step that you're going to work on, the second step and the third step. And the reason that you're going to prioritize them is because you want an implementation. Okay, Anne, no worries, thank you. Yes, so you know where to start to work, where you're going to implement them. Otherwise, it's easy to get paralysed. You've got so much information coming at you and you don't actually do anything with it. So could you just pop in the chat which area you're going to be working on first?
Sorry, Sue, could you just go back a screen so I can see the 9 boxes
there.
again? Thanks, yeah.
Yep. Yep, just decide which step you want to work on first, Abby.
Yeah, I've got my first. I'm just looking for my second and third.
Okay. Were you scoring them as you went along?
Well, no, I was putting a question mark or a tick or a not good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, your ticks should be okay then. So you're really looking at your question marks and you're not good.
Yes. Yeah. So which I've got, yeah.
Okay, and then just pop into...
Got mine.
Great.
Yeah.
Just pop into the chat, which is the first step you're going to work on. Okay, great. Let's fly along. Here we go, back to where we were. So we've covered the 5 levels of business ownership, and we've covered the 9-step roadmap. Now we are going to look at how it all fits together. We've got the 5 levels of business ownership, which we've just gone through. And I just want to point out that the higher you go up those levels, business should become easier. That said, every level has its devil. So it is very much a case of working through it and seeing how it all comes together. And now onto the sexy stuff, profit. And I'm going to share with you this morning the science of marginal gains. And this is how it works. You break something down into its constituent parts, examine each for opportunities to improve, and then you apply small incremental improvements. And it's quite simply, the small improvements have that compound effect over a number of areas. So we're not looking at making massive changes. We're looking at small tweaks, just as you've identified which step you need to work on first. And this is just focusing purely and simply on profit. So these are the 5 foundational areas of profit, and these are the same in every single business on the planet. So I'm going to put some numbers in because I think it helps if you've got some numbers. As I've already said, they are the language of business. So in this particular business, they generate 4,000 leads, which they convert at 25%. That gives them 1,000 customers. Each of those customers does business with them twice, with an average spend of £100, which means their turnover is 200,000. Their profit margin is 25%, which gives them a profit of £50,000. Can everybody see that in their business? Yes?
Yep.
Yeah, you can see how that would apply to your business, yeah? Great.
Yes.
Okay, do you know those numbers?
No, because it's a bit, because I'm having problems with the leads. You know, I haven't got a sales funnel, unfortunately. Because I don't kind of do adverts in that respect. So although I've got hot prospects, which would you call them the same as leads then?
Leads are something that there are steps between leads and conversion rate, Abby. So a lead is somebody who has shown some interest, or you have reached out to them, or you sent them some marketing or something. They know about you. The conversion rate is the ones that become customers, but there will be a sequence of steps within your business that takes them from lead to becoming a hot prospect to them becoming a client. So that's all part of the conversion rate process. And we can dig into that a little bit more. We're just looking at big picture here for the minute. But don't worry, most business owners don't know this stuff. They don't know these numbers. And the thing is, if you're not monitoring anything, how do you expect it to improve? So the first thing is to actually discover these numbers. But the reason why it's important is I'm just going to show you the compound effect here. So if we increase each of those individual 5 areas by 10%, which isn't massive, it's just a small tweak, our leads go from 4,000 to 4,400. Conversion rate from 25% to 27.5%. It's not massive, it's just a small tweak. However, the number of customers goes up by more than 10%. It goes from 1,000 to 1,210. The number of transactions go from 2 to 2.2. Average spend from £100 to 110, which means our turnover goes up from 200,000 to 292,000 pounds. Profits margin then goes up by 10%, 27.5, which means our profit has gone from 50,000 to 80,525 pounds just by applying small tweaks to each of those 5 areas. Make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
Great. That gives us a massive 61% increase in profit. It's a 46% increase in turnover, but in actual fact, we're not really interested in turnover. Turnover is vanity. We're interested in profit. What's coming out at the bottom end of it? I actually worked with somebody whose goal in life was to be able to go to the golf course and tell everybody that his business turned over £1 million. Didn't have to make a profit, wasn't interested in profit. All he wanted was to go to the golf course and say, my business turns over £1 million. Well, you know, it's whatever people want. Our business is there to give us the life we want. And if that's what he wanted, didn't work with him for very long, by the way. Okay, so this is a document that I've worked on with colleagues and put together, where you can actually start to track it. And you can see here, I've tapped exactly those same numbers into here as I've just shown you on that slide. And then looked at 10% in each of them. So that those numbers there are exactly the same as I've just shown you. The thing is, with this, you put in your own numbers and you put in what changes you think you could make in each of those areas to drive up that profit. 10% will give you a 61% increase in profit. And then beneath there, we have our 5 columns where we can look at what could we do in each of those areas that's going to make the difference, that's going to get us that increase. Now, if I were to ask you, which order do you work on these, what would you say? Where are you going to start first? Leads, conversion, transactions?
Leads.
It depends.
Yeah, actually, it's not on leads. The reason we don't work on leads first is because it costs money. Whatever you're doing to generate leads is going to cost you money. The easiest place to make a difference is in margins. Okay, so making sure you understand the margins on all your products and services. And for some people, they actually suddenly realise they've got things that they are selling their business that actually don't make any money or even make a loss. The next area would be conversion rate. This is the one you were talking about, Abby. You've got leads coming in, but are you converting them? So the process that you are taking those people through from lead to conversion rate. If you're converting at 25%, 75% of the people that you speak to, you've just warmed up, got them interested and excited, and they've gone and bought from one of your competitors. So you really want to be converting as many as possible. The next area would be transactions and average spend. And again, it doesn't really matter which way round you do this one, but getting people to come back, making sure they know and they understand everything that you can help them with. And the average spend, I mean, the line that is now so outdated, but everybody still remembers, do you want fries with that? So what is the portion of fries in your business? Then finally, we look at leads. What's working in your leads? What is your lead generation system? This is where we're going to start to look at acquisition cost and then really map out your sales process. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. The good news is I have a little book that has about 400 strategies across these 5 areas in it, broken down. And on Tuesday, the 16th of December, I'm actually going to do another little short bite-size workshop going through the 5 ways, as I like to call it, step by step in more depth. Okay, so we've covered the 5 levels of business ownership, the 9-step roadmap, and the 5 key levers even. Okay, so keeping on time here, the next thing I want to do is offer you the opportunity to have a one-to-one conversation with me where we can talk specifically about your business. We've just been looking very big picture here, but you've got some ideas of where you think you would like to start, which step of the 9-step roadmap you feel that you need to work in. And I've freed up some time between now and Christmas, although not next week, because next week I'm off to Lapland to have lunch with Santa, with my granddaughters. Yes, so excited. But you can scan that code there and you can book in a call with me and we will go through your business. But you'll have some basic information or what I've shared with you today. So you'll come to that meeting with some questions so that that way we will make best use of our time. So 5 frogs sitting on a log, all decide to jump off. How many are left? You could put that in your Christmas crackers, couldn't you, that one? The answer is there's still 5 because there's a difference between deciding and doing.